Hello everyone, welcome. In this video will be a little different. This is not Alexi or criminal news. This is patent infringement news. And you guys may not know this about me, but patent, trademark, copyright, and parody law are my nerdy focus of interest. I really love patents. I really love parody law. It's whenever in school I had the chance to get to brief a case that I picked or have to do a project on a case that I got to pick, it was always about one of these issues. I do not like when people steal ideas. I love that we have a patent system. I love that people are allowed to protect their intellectual property in our country. So stories like this really grind my gears, and I'm really passionate about them. I think everyone who comes up with something does deserve to be able to reap the benefits of that. I know it gets into tricky and, rough waters when we're talking about medical advances and medical patents and things like that. I'm always open to discussing that and having debates or telling you guys if you're interested in hearing about the murky parts of patent law and things that maybe aren't for the best of humanity. But other than that, I do think inventors and innovators do deserve to be able to reap the benefits from their inventions. So with that being said, basically, Apple was told that they have to stop the import and or production basically of Apple Watches, two versions. I believe it's the 9 and another version, because they are infringing on a brand called Massimo's patent for their pulse oximeter. I pulled a few things from some articles that I thought were interesting. 2 months ago, Apple lost a patent case over the technology of its smartwatches used to detect people's pulse rates. The company was ordered to stop selling the Apple Watch Series 9 and Watch Ultra 2 after Christmas. Convenient, which could set off a run on sales with the watches in the final week of holiday shopping. Obviously, right? Basically saying people are going to go run and get these watches because now that they're going to be discontinued, the resale value on these watches is going to be astronomical, probably. They just basically created a whole secondhand market. In court, Massimo detailed how Apple poached its top executives and more than a dozen other employees before later releasing a watch with pulse oximeter capabilities, which measures the percentage of oxygen that the red blood cells carry from the lungs to the body, that were patented by Massimo. So they're patented, and they just straight up took it. To avoid a complete ban on sales, Apple had 2 months to cut a deal with Massimo to license its technology. And now remember, this was back in October, so we're getting close to the deadline. It could appeal to the Biden administration to reverse the ruling. But Joe Kiani, I believe is how you say it, the chief executive of Massimo, said in an interview that Apple had not engaged in licensing negotiations. For those of you who do not know, licensing is where Apple in this case, would pay a small fee to Massimo to use that technology on their devices, how you typically would be in line with honoring someone's patent and not infringing on it and just taking their technology and putting it in your device or product without any kind of authorization. You can also have exclusive licensing. So if Apple really wanted to pony up and have made this and done this the right way, they could have paid even more to have an exclusive license with Massimo for the technology, and Apple Watch would have been the only watch able to use that technology. So just a very interesting point there. Where did I stop? Instead, he said that Apple has appealed to President Joe Biden to veto the ITC ruling, which Mr. Kiani knows was because the administration contacted Massimo about Apple's request. So basically, the Biden administration called them and said, like, hey, Apple asked us to, pardon them essentially on this issue. They're trying to make the agency look like it's helping patent trolls, Mr. Kiani said of the ITC, which is very disingenuous because patent trolls, that's not what, it's clearly not what Massimo is doing here. They owned the patent and they're not trying to, bring a claim on an issue that is disputable, right? Like maybe the patent, it's not within the percentage that it maybe it doesn't actually infringe, and then they're just suing a big company to squeeze them out of some money or throw dirt on them. This isn't that. This is not patent trolling. This is, they genuinely own the patent, and not only is the technology taken, but they took the employees who knew how to do it. So Apple Watch accounts for nearly 20 billion of the company's 383.29 billion in annual sales, according to Bernstein Research, a financial research firm. Apple is the largest smartwatch seller in the world and accounts for about a third of all smartwatch sales, according to Counterpoint Research, a tech research firm. Apple has had success persuading presidents in the past to veto ITC rulings. In 2013, the Obama administration overturned a ban on the sale of some iPhones and iPads after the court determined that Apple had violated a patent that Samsung owned. So, not the first time that they've done this. Now we get to, I've obviously sprinkled my opinion throughout this. I'm coming from a biased place as someone who supports intellectual property, but I found another article about why Steve Jobs was proud to steal. Steve Jobs being the now passed away owner of and creator of Apple, right? It's always been said that he basically stole technology and been pretty shameless about it. He didn't invent anything himself. He takes other people's ideas and has other people tool away at it and get to it first, in my opinion. But this article was trying to, I guess, paint in a positive light why Steve Jobs is going against the grain and being a positive person by stealing other people's ideas and beating them to market. But I completely disagree with that premise. Essentially, you can see here that that Steve Jobs had said, "We always have been shameless about stealing great ideas." So if that doesn't just grind your gears and let you know that, they steal people's ideas, beat them to market, and make billions of dollars, and have continued to not care about that in regards to Samsung and now Massimo, that should maybe deter you from possibly, in my opinion, I don't know, supporting such companies. Again, this is all just my opinion, but something I found really interesting because, again, I do love patent, copyright, parody law, especially. It's a very interesting form of law. It borders on freedom of expression and all the things that come from the glory of the human mind, and so it's very interesting and sacred to me. And so, not that I ever loved Apple before, but I probably will not support them in the future as best to my abilities unless completely forced, because not only do I not enjoy their products necessarily, but I don't enjoy those business practices and the in my opinion, blatant disregard for the sanctity of the US patent system. So that's just my opinion, just some interesting news, maybe give a side eye or two at Apple as you see them this holiday season, and just know that it is quite infuriating that they are allowed to sell up until Christmas Eve. Yeah, basically not going to affect their bottom line at all. They patent infringe, but they get to sell throughout the whole Christmas season. So there you have it. Not great, but maybe something a little more lighthearted and different than, all of the serious criminal news that we've been going through. And yeah, if you made it this far in this video, thank you so much. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave them down below because I'm always interested in the conversation, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you're interested in following cases like the Alexei Treviso case to trial, please subscribe as I'll be covering it all along the way with a legal focus. It's your girl Friday. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.